somebody asks you something and you don't know the answer to, what has been the experience after you've said, let me get back to you? Has that built trust, or have you seen people lose trust in that response?
It must be building trust because we're able to still raise money after all these years. But usually I'll just say that is a really good question. Let me get back to you. And I will, and I'll get back to the entire group. There was one lady who every single investor meeting, she would show up and she would ask a million questions and I would never have the answer. She was so smart and always would end up investing. But I just thought, oh my gosh, if I come out with another project, I can't deal with her. And suddenly I had an aha moment. I'm just going to talk to her before the presentation. And then I had an even better idea, and we just hired her.
Yeah, that's
Or
good.
like, bring her on board. You know, she's brilliant, and she's a former attorney, so not cheap either. But that way, she's kind of blown away all of our attorneys and partners now because she asks really hard questions. So, and we have had a few really smart investors like that too that we've sort of brought on our team.
But Kathy would just be like, so what do you mean? What is a HELOC? You know, and this is in the early days, you know, things like that.
Well, it's so funny. One of my, with Fred, the developer, that was my first deal, and it was a big deal. It was 27 townhomes in Portland on the water that went into foreclosure. We were able to buy all of them for $3 million. We just had to finish them out. I went to a board meeting, I went to the attorney's office, and all these men in suits and me wearing a pink dress, and they're talking about stuff I had no idea what they were saying. And I would just be like, what do you mean by that? And what's that? And every time I'd ask a question, all the other men in the room would be like, you could just feel them so grateful that I asked the question because they were all faking it. And that's one thing I learned. That was 15 years ago, that not everybody knows everything.
Yeah.
In fact, most people don't know much. And a lot of people are faking it, and it's okay to just ask the question and